what would be the best places to go for them to network and meet the people they want to meet?
I think I'm doing big deals, and then you speak to them, and I'm like, bro, I don't believe you. This is how much I've just made. I'm like, I met a guy on the beach, and he took a liking to me in a right? Are you gonna go and approach a girl in a bar and say, hey, you don't know me, but can I have with you?
That guy does that.
Sometimes.
I mean,
Welcome to another episode of, we still don't have a name, but Rises for Closers Casting Couch podcast.
No, we need to have better names. Like after dope ass intro, like music and everything, Rises for Closers. That's like, come on. We need a better name.
just call it the fucking podcast.
The fucking podcast. Welcome. We're joined here today by a mystery guest that he already spoke, but we're joined by Mr. Name. Sold over $10 million worth of stuff online, traveled to over 40 different countries, founder of Nomadic Closer, done for you sales agency for done for you offers. Mr. Joel Elster, welcome to the podcast.
Thank
you.
you.
Also do charity as well, right? Foundation name, what? Life Guided by Light.
Life Guided by Light.
Yeah. That's a highlight for you.
There you go.
Absolute gentleman, by the way. I've met this man in real life, and I mean, I'm not so wrong, right? You're a gentleman, right? You're not a bad boy.
I mean, it depends how you look at it.
Oh, okay.
Depends who's asking.
Could be some trouble.
There you go.
In some trouble over there.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.
Absolute
I
pleasure. to
appreciate
have
it.
you.
What brings you to Dubai?
Business, bro.
Business. Doing business.
Business. I mean, long story short, I have a company over here. So I've got to fly in once every 6 months. But other than that, I had a few very interesting meetings.
Okay.
I'll talk about that later.
Not to be disclosed yet.
Yeah,
Secret. But it's pretty cool. So Joel has a pretty cool background because you started from the hospitality background.
I did indeed, bro.
Yeah. So you worked at a beach club in Spain? Like
Yeah.
what was it all about? Because I come from a hospitality background as well. I worked at a nightclub. So how did you find that experience, and did any of the skill set and experience you learned there translate to sales and business?
I love that question. So it may seem a bit strange, but I actually had a speech impediment when I was younger.
Oh.
So I stuttered a lot. So through school, I wasn't very confident. And I'm like, I need to get out of my comfort zone. I need to do something where I put myself in awkward situations the whole time to learn, to grow, to be better. And I remember I was in Spain. I was 15 years old. And I thought, I can't keep stuttering. Like, I need to get my confidence. What can I do? So my girlfriend at the time, she actually went and got interviewed at this beach club called Nikki Beach. Some guys have heard of it.
Yep.
It's huge beach clubs around the world. And I'm just sitting there at the bar, and then a guy comes up, he's like, are you here for the interview as well? I was like, no, yeah. Anyway, long story short, I started working on the beach club. Why? Because I knew that I was going to speak to multiple different people on a daily basis, and I was going to get out of my comfort zone. So moving forward, I met a guy on the beach, and he took a liking to me, not in a sexual way, right?
Uh-oh.
But no, not like that. As in, like, he had a speech impediment when he was younger as well. And he's a super successful guy, multi-millionaire. And he started giving me some tips and tricks on how I could become more confident in myself, how I could start using pauses in the way I speak, my conversation, to slow things down, to allow me to start thinking. So I started doing a lot of work on my vocabulary, on my communication skills, and I then all of a sudden became a very, very good communicator. But what I actually really did, I actually studied a lot of the people coming to the beach clubs, the rich, the famous, how they act, ask questions, what they do, and I was so intrigued by the way they actually made money. So the more I wanted to learn about someone, the more questions I was asking, I started realizing there was a few questions that I should ask and a few questions that I definitely shouldn't ask. And without even noticing, I became a closer, right? So from a very, very young age, I've always been in sales, especially working on beach clubs. So beach clubs was great. I was on a very small basic salary, but I was on commission. So then I thought, okay, well, how can I keep on making as much money as possible? Let's figure out why they're on the beach club. What kind of thing do they want to kind of experience? And let me create this amazing experience for them so they can keep spending money and buying champagne. And then I thought, well, I don't just want to wait for rich people to come to the beach club and hopefully I'm going to get a good section and get a good client. Let me go out and let me find these rich people. So I started going to other beach clubs on my day off, or I maybe went to some nightclubs. And then I even just used to walk along the yachts and, see people passing on the yachts in the ports and just started approaching. And so I became very confident in connecting and communicating. So in a way, I was a promoter, but I was a promoter for my own kind of business because I was on commission. So that's how it kind of started.
And you had a lack of confidence because of your stuttering.
Yeah, massively.
And you mentioned about approaching people just randomly like that. How did you come from stuttering, having this lack of confidence, to approaching people randomly without, I guess, any hesitation,
Very good question. I really liked when people gave me feedback. I wanted to approach people, I wanted to stutter, and I wanted to get use of the feeling of being uncomfortable. And going back to the story, the guy that I met at the beach club who had a speech impediment, who started teaching me about how I can improve my communication, he said, the best thing to do is fail as many times as possible. If someone makes fun of you, make fun of yourself at the same time. Don't take it to, just it's lighthearted. Keep failing, keep getting uncomfortable in uncomfortable situations. And then I'm like, what do you mean uncomfortable? He said, be okay with being uncomfortable. He said, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I'm like, well, how does that work? And the more I was getting myself in these uncomfortable situations, I started thriving. I'm like, I actually like getting uncomfortable because I don't care. I don't care if someone looks at me and be like, well, have you got a stutter, mate? Yeah. Sorry, I didn't, So after a while, when you do get used to being uncomfortable or do get used to making mistakes, it's okay, right? And that's the way I started improving, is by getting myself in beautiful situations and then people taking more time to listen to me and help me out. So I use my vulnerability to my advantage.
Amazing. No, that's cool because I come from like a similar experience as well, where I was basically like social anxious, where like I couldn't really go talk to people and like start conversations. So it's funny how that background like led you to where you're now. Like you're like so comfortable talking to people on camera, like super social and extroverted. So when you're working at the beach club, how did you find out? How did you go about, okay, what does this person want? How can I add value to that and like solve that problem?
So everyone that comes to the beach club, so one of the guys that used to work at the beach club, he'd said something to me that completely changed the way I looked at it. He said, everyone that's coming to the beach club, you don't know if they've had the best day of their life or the worst day of their life. So it's up to you to be able to give them an amazing experience. And it took me a while to understand that. But if you think about it, everyone we meet, we don't know if they've just gone through the worst time of their life or the best time of their life. If you can add value to that person, if you can add an experience, you could be saving lives indirectly. So I thought, fucking hell, that's okay. So it took me a while to understand that. But when I got it, I'm like, I can actually help people indirectly by possibly saving their lives by giving them a good time. So guys used to come down to the beach club and I just started asking, hey, how are you? Have you ever been to a beach club before? What kind of beach club did you go to? When you go to beach clubs, what kind of experience have you had? What did you like? What didn't you like? And I started qualifying them. Once I figured out what they're looking for, I could pretty much offer a solution to their problem. Oh, I'm really looking to get a load of girls on my table. Okay, but why do you want to get girls on your table? Oh, because I really want to have a good experience and I've been working a lot and I haven't really had time to socialize with girls. Okay, so if I could find a way where I could bring girls to your table and give it a great experience, would you want me to kind of share how I can provide that? Yeah, absolutely. All right. And I kind of looked at his clothes or his belt. I said, but first what I just need your card as a holding deposit. If it was a black Amex, I'm like, yo, this guy's got money. Yeah. So then I could start understanding what I could sell him. So what we could do, we could maybe do a big champagne show where we maybe order like, I don't know, 24 bottles of champagne. We bring the girls over and then I can go to other tables and be like, yo, this guy wants to buy a champagne and there you go. So that's how I started really trying to understand how to sell to people.
Yeah.
But also what's interesting is, I mean, in the mastermind in Medellin back then, you mentioned a couple of things in terms of tracking, like having a Rolodex of people, but also at the same time, several strategies in terms of taking selfies. And so I want you to kind of elaborate on that, on your exact way on how to leave a really good impression, but also make sure that they don't forget about you or vice versa, you know?
Well, let's look at closing, right? Everyone fucks up with follow-ups. You've had a good communication with someone. Maybe they've bought, maybe they haven't bought. Even if they've bought, are you following up? Are you seeing how they're getting on? Because if you keep on having that communication, they could possibly refer you to someone. But a lot of people forget about follow-ups. Doesn't matter if it's personal, if it's professional. We forget. We forget about our own friends and family. Like, how many times have you forgotten about a good friend's birthday because you haven't followed up? It's not in the calendar. So what I did from a very young age, I think a Rolodex is extremely important. Now, what is a Rolodex? Right? We all know a Rolodex is this old little thing with letters that you scroll through and you have, people's numbers on a card. But if you start creating your own CRM system, your own reminder system, every time you meet somebody, rather than just save their number in your phone, there's a few extra things you can do. Every time I meet someone, I like to ask questions. I'm genuinely interested in what people do because you're only one contact away from your next $1 million. So if I'm talking to you guys, I'm like, oh, you guys seem really interesting. I want to find out, a bit about you, what you do, how you can help other people, and where you maybe need help in your business or even personal life. And then what I do, I go home and I have a Rolodex and I add name, email, telephone number, what they do, how they can help, and what kind of help they're looking for. So all of a sudden, if I'm going out and I'm socializing, I'm networking, I'm talking to someone, and they have an issue, I'm like, you know what? I actually met someone a few months ago. He can help you solve that issue, whether it's business or personal. So all of a sudden, you become a master connector. Mm-hmm. And when you do become a master connector, eventually, the more you give, the more you give, the more you give, the more you receive. Mm-hmm. So if you go out and you start helping people, they're going to be like, that guy, he's always helping. How can I help him? What can I do to pay him back? Sometimes there's some deals on the table where you can just take a certain percentage of an introduction. Sometimes you just want to be that guy that just helps people with nothing in return. So a Rolodex is super important.
Yeah. So that's very cool that you do that because I think a lot of online entrepreneurs and salespeople, they just get, what you talk about is get close in their four walls and they take sales calls back to back to back. We've definitely done that too, that we talk about. Now we're more going out and about. But you actually close deals and make money as you're just going about doing stuff.
I make more money outside of closing than
That's
closing.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I follow up. So then when you do have your own CRM system or you're using Google Calendar and you've found out information about someone, just put a reminder in to just, if they've said, oh yeah, my daughter's going to have an operation on XYZ date, put it in your calendar. Say, okay, this day I need to text this person, or the day before, hey, I hope the operation goes well, or how did the operation go? Because you're there caring, you're there showing interest, and you're there always on their mind. So whenever all of a sudden something comes up, let's just say someone knows that I have a certain business, they're like, I just met someone. Joel can help. Joel, hi, do you remember me? Yeah, I've just met someone that actually needs your help. So I always want to try and figure out ways where I can be on people's minds. Mm-hmm. And follow-ups is one of the best ways.
And what's the selfie strategy?
So when you meet someone, networking, you've taken a number, sometimes you meet so many people you forget who they are. Right? So it's like, oh man, let me just quickly take your number. And then there I've got my notes as well. I'm like, listen, do you mind if I take a quick photo? Because like my memory is terrible. You take a quick selfie with them, and then you can save that selfie in your phone under the photo. So when you're looking up the name, you and that person comes up under their name. Mm-hmm. So you remind yourself of who they are as well. And then what you can do as well, you can then send that photo to them. So then they remember who you are. Mm-hmm. So it's a great strategy.
Yeah, no, that's good because I'm like so bad at staying in touch with people that I forget like who's this person. So how do you go about just staying in touch with people and they don't forget you, you don't forget them, but like, hey, like what about this, what about that? Do you just like reply to the Instagram stories or like what are you typically doing?
I mean, you can get a lot of things automated these days.
Automated.
So if you have it in the CRM system, if you have their birthday, if you have tasks, reminders, you can just automate messages that send out. So I don't know, like if you're using Go High Level, for example, you can schedule text messages.
You're using your networking contacts in like actual automated CRM system.
It's in a CRM system. It used to be on a Google a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
then yeah, moved it on to CRM.
By the way, my birthday is March 14th, you know.
Who are you?
Where are
We
you?
haven't taken a selfie yet.
Gotta take a selfie first. Gotta make it official.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Those memories of Medellin, all gone, you know.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So what do you say to people? Because it's a controversial thing on Facebook where they say like, fuck networking, just close deals, right? So what would you say to those kind of people?
Get a life. Literally get a life. The reason why we do what we do in one of our businesses is because I've been there, bro. Like I've been there where I was so focused on just closing, making money. And I remember, so I lost my business during COVID, and that's another story for another time. But then I was closing for 2 years straight, had to move in back with my parents during COVID. And I was closing deals, and I was still living in my parents' house. And it got to the point where I made the most money I've ever made in my life in one paycheck. And I looked at my bank account, and I looked at the number, and I cried, bro.
Wow.
I didn't cry with happiness. I cried with no fucking fulfillment whatsoever. So I'm like, why am I working my absolute ass off just closing? And then I remember that night I went downstairs and I spoke to my mom, and I wasn't very happy, and I'm 30 years old then, and I said, Mom, like, I've just made all this money. And she's like, oh my God, amazing. Like, you've made more money than me and that I make in 2 years. Like, I said, yeah, but Mom, it didn't make me happy. She was like, well, go socialize with your friends. I said, yeah, I socialize every day online with my friends. She went, online, really? And I went, She said, haven't you got any real friends? I'm like, yeah, but they're not on the same level as me and stuff. She said, then fucking go and find people that are on the same level. Don't just rely on friends online. That's not real relationships. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh fuck, what have I been doing? I've just been so focused on closing online in this fake bubble where people pretend to be your friends. They pretend to role play with you, and because they want to be. There's no friendship online. I mean, it's not real. You know, when you do start going out networking, finding your tribe face to face, that's where you level the fuck up. So if you are stuck just closing, making money, you can do it for a certain period of time, but you could lose yourself.
100%.
This is what I want to tell people is that one dinner together offline in person is way better than 20 Zoom sessions one-on-one together. Like, it's just there's just something about in-person meeting that makes it a whole different level. Like, you're actually connected with that person. In Zoom, you don't know if the other guy doesn't have pants, you know. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm not wearing pants now. I don't know if you can see.
There we go. They'll never know. Yeah, no, but I definitely resonate with that because that's part of the reasons why I left my previous organization, 7th Level, because I find myself just taking calls back to back to back. And the most amount of money I've ever made in my life coming from a college dropout, then I had the same moment as you. I'm like, man, I feel fucking miserable. I'm like, what is it? Like, I don't have any friends. Right. So I'm like, what's the whole point? Like, what are we making money for? So that's why we love the stuff you talk about, because you're actually surrounding yourself like the nomadic closer house, right? When June was telling me about that, that's such a cool concept.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I remember, so I've been a digital nomad for many years. Before COVID, I was traveling around the world as well. So I've been to a few countries. And I've always been looking for community. Like, I've always traveled, I've always stayed in hostels because you find good community. You know, whenever I've traveled elsewhere, I've always gone to like co-working spaces or co-living spaces for community. And I think face-to-face community is key. But there was still something that I was missing. I was going to some co-working spaces or co-living spaces, and everyone was just on like different vibes, different industries, and I was trying to find my tribe. So I actually then went to Colombia in January for a entrepreneur house. And I turn up, it's a 30-day mastermind, and it was good. But then I was there with my business partner, Adam, as well, who's also staying in the house. And we said, we've met some really, really good people. Like, the biggest takeaway from that 30-day experience in the entrepreneur house was every week we had an amazing meetup, an amazing mastermind. We met amazing people, made some good business. But we thought, what can we add to an experience like this that we're craving? Like, what was missing? So we got a big whiteboard, and we started throwing some crazy fucking ideas. Like, what activities do we want to do? What, where do you want to stay? What kind of people do we want to spend time with? What masterminds? Who should we bring in? All these crazy, like, we filled up this whiteboard, filled it up. We're like, fuck me, there's a lot of stuff on that whiteboard. And we looked at each other, we're like, what should we remove? And we looked at each other, we're like, nothing. Let's do it all. So then what happened is like, okay, we want to create a nomadic closer house. We know people have been reaching out to us saying, hey, I love your journey. I see you traveling. I see you living life. I've seen that you've shared multiple times that you make more money outside of closing than closing. How can I be part of your life? What can we do? So we created Nomadic Closer House, where it's a 30-day experience where we have guys come into a house and we completely transform the way they live, the way they work, the way they think, the way they network, socialize, the whole lot. And bro, I mean, the transformations we saw exceeded expectations.
As a member, I'll give you an example. For me, like, I mean, I've been a traveler anyways, like for the last 5 years. Traveling wasn't really the problem for me. But what really opened my eyes was when I met the guy named Coolness. I don't know his real name, by the way.
Danny.
And I'm doing business with him right now in terms of like, I'm his customer right now.
Savage.
Yeah. He's a savage, by the way. Shout out to him.
21 years old. He's got 1.8 million followers on Instagram.
Plus, he was a sales guy also before, and he was talking about a story.
800 clients, bro. Age 21.
That's crazy because he was talking about a story from transitioning from like 20K, 25K a month as a closer to what he's doing right now. But what really opened my eyes was Instagram, like social media. Post consistently, like play the quantity game. Don't focus on the quality too much. Now, you remember, I was the one asking questions because for me, that was a whole new world. But I would have never experienced that or seen what's possible out there if I'd actually never really talked with the guy. It's different from watching a YouTube video about how to grow your Instagram or what does it benefit you. Like actually seeing the person who's like 1.8 million follower, who's like way younger than me, crushing it. I'm just stuck here like making like a couple 5 figures. I'm like, fuck. That was like, I gotta do this. I was like, okay, I'm fucking doing this. This is why we're doing this podcast, by the way, also. For me at least. It's like, okay, what can I do to now post quality and quantity content at the same time? Because one thing you mentioned about was integrating content in your life. This is our life now.
Yeah.
Like we talk all day.
Yep.
Like you talk all day also. You connect with people. And this is like our hub of networking with people as well.
Yeah.
Like while we're doing this, we're networking also.
That's
sharing
it.
idea.
That's it.
And creating this brotherhood, you know.
That's it. I mean, podcasts are great as well. I mean, I do a lot of podcasts, and sometimes people think, well, I could spend 50 grand on a mentor, or I could try and get the mentor that I want to be mentored by on a podcast, and I can ask him questions for free.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What do you think we're doing?
That's our
exactly.
evil
Yeah,
plan.
there you go.
That's our evil plan, you know.
That's it.
Evil scheme.
So I just ruined it for you.
There you go.
Yeah, no, amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
but it's so key because environment is so big because we all hear the saying, hey, you're the average of 5 people, you're surrounding yourself with blah, blah, blah. But once you're actually in that, because now we have our own, I guess, like nomadic closer house in SA. So we have me, June, and another friend of ours living in the same house.
Shout out to
Dubai.
Min.
Shout out to Min. And now we're living together and we saw like one of our friends, hey, you gained some weight. Let's go to the gym together.
Accountability.
And then he already losing weight, right? And then, you know, June, like we're all doing content together because I'm doing content, June's doing content. So it's like something like nomadic closer is so valuable because like health, with your content, with your sales abilities, with relationships, like you do it together, accountability. If other people
we
are
even
getting
have a
after
dating
it.
coach that comes around.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
just-
heard, yeah.
We got so much in the pipeline as well.
Yeah,
It's insane.
amazing. That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just quickly going back on content, like podcasts are great. We have conversations with entrepreneurs all the time. We do sales calls all the time. I think what a lot of people forget to do is just record themselves.
Yep.
So like even now, or maybe you're going out for lunch. At the beginning, it could be awkward, but just get your phone and just record yourself having conversations. Because how many times have you had great conversations offline? You thought, fuck me, if that would have been recorded, that would have been some great content.
Yeah, we talk
Yeah,
about
we
it
talk
all the
So
time. We
so
bought a
just have some-
tripod and
exactly.
everything. Brian always talks about this, and I agree also. Is that if we actually document our journey, like I started closing 4.5 years ago, or you started like 2 years, 3 years ago, like if you document that journey from where we sucked to where he's at right now, like
Yep.
that would have been tremendous, you know.
I know.
100%. Yeah. So let's say someone doesn't have something like a nomadic closer house, right? What would be the best places to go for them to network and meet the people they want to meet?
Very good question. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. I always say you've got two different groups. You've got one group, let's just say you're a closer. Easy example. Do you want to go out and meet other closers? Or do you want to go to a place where you're the only closer? You go to a networking meeting. What does a closer do? They find problems, they solve problems. So what if you're the only closer in a network meeting and you start asking people questions? You start being interested in what they're saying. Not interesting. Don't try and like be the big guy and talk about yourself. Put the focus on whoever you're speaking to. Qualify them. Figure out their problems. All of a sudden, because you're now a master connector, you can start understanding, okay, well, this guy, he runs a sales team and he has no idea about sales. Maybe because of my experience, I can now go in and say, hey, I can offer you a consulting, I can offer you consulting on your business. I can offer to come in and close for you, or I actually have someone that can help you, right? So imagine if you go to a network meeting now with a load of closers. It's good to connect, but there's no real business to be made. So there's two different things. Do you want to go and network with other closers? Yes, that is an opportunity. But also go out and network with people that aren't closers and you're the only closer in that room, so you can make more fucking money in that room that you can with the other closers.
Yeah.
So you have to divide, you have to spread out.
Yeah.
Don't just focus on stay online, I'm only going to speak to closers, I'm only going to role play with closers. Come on.
Yeah.
I 100% agree, because there's a whole debate, on social media, networking versus skills versus like all these stuffs. But on a grand scheme, that's like nothing. Like no one gives a fuck, honestly.
Yep.
Like why are you so caught up with objection handling, pre-handling, all that bullshit at the end of the day? No one gives a fuck. It's just like a tiny bubble. Like Alex Hormozy, do you think Sam Ovens would give a fuck about that? No, never. Like think like a big dog. That was one of the biggest takeaways also. It's like you gotta get out of there. Like stop connecting with other closers. Like your sales bubble is only gonna keep you to at most like making multiple 5 figures. Really. If you're happy with that, stay where you're at. I was happy for a long time making like 5 figures, but I want to do more. Like you and I, like we always talk about it, like a fucking mansion in Dubai.
Yeah.
Like I literally just came from Arts Club, so
Nice.
it's a members only club
Yeah.
in Dubai. Some of the guys there that I'm talking to, like I think I'm doing big deals, and then you speak to them, and I'm like, bro, I don't believe you. This is how much I've just made. I'm like,
Even in the gym that we go to or in the lobby that we're in, like I was talking with this one guy from Pakistan also, and he's doing what was that? Like green services for the UAE loyal family, and he's got multiple properties out there, and I'm like, okay, I'm stuck here like 20K, 30K a month. That's great, but
yeah. But that's the thing, you only know what you know.
Yeah.
And if you get stuck in this bubble, you only know that the closing is the world. Once you get out of closing, you meet someone that's like, yeah, I'm making 2 million a month by selling sugar. You can make 2 million a month by selling sugar. Or another guy, he's got this company and that company. You're like, I didn't even know that exists. There's money to be made everywhere. You got to look for it.
Yeah,
like
100%.
I said before, you're only one contact away from your next million. Is that going to be through a small little bubble of closers online? Or is it going to be going to places that you've never been before, getting out your comfort zone? And like what happened to me right at the beginning of my career, get uncomfortable. Thrive from like making mistakes and let that be your driver. Make as many mistakes as possible, because eventually you start learning, you know what to do, you know what to avoid. And then when the time's right, you're going to meet the person that's going to make you a very wealthy man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, because that's part of the reason why I moved to Dubai as well, because I was kind of afraid to get out of my comfort zone, because it's easy to go to, I don't know, like some country in like Eastern Europe, and that's cool. But I knew I never felt so broke in my life coming to Dubai. But it's the most money I've made in my life, but I felt it's such a weird paradox because at our building, I purposely chose an expensive building to live in out of my budget.
Yeah.
And people say like, yeah, but live below your means. But no, I chose that because that opened my eyes. Because when I go to the gym, just like what you're saying, I meet some dude that's doing like dumbbell curls,
And he's like, are you done with that? Yeah, like, what do you do? He's like, oh, I just run a gold mining business in East Africa. I'm like, what is that? And then, yeah, I just bought an apartment. I know that building is like freaking expensive to buy an apartment. So it opens your eyes to a reality aside from just the Zoom. It's like, oh, there's a whole nother world out there.
Yeah. But then there are some people that may not be fortunate enough to be able to rent where you are.
Yeah.
So I say to those guys, listen, if you want to go and you want to kind of start feeling what it's like to have money, meeting people that have money, find out where these people go. Maybe if you can't afford to go to a nice fancy restaurant, figure out what kind of cafes they go to.
The gym is
And
a
get a
perfect
coffee.
place.
But spend $8, $12 on a coffee. You can afford that. You know, you're there, you're looking around, you start seeing how people walk, talk, move. Approach people, have conversations.
How would you say approach? Because what if someone's like, yeah, but I'm kind of nervous going up and talking to them. What if I'm bothering them? Like, how would you go about that?
I read a book many years ago by Ant Middleton. It was called The Fear Bubble. And it basically teaches you how to move the fear to another location and walk into the fear bubble. So whatever you're feeling now, it's like, well, I'm not there at the moment. It's just me thinking about the future. So, okay, what am I feeling? I feel fear. Why do I feel fear? Because of this. All right, but it hasn't happened yet. Move that fear bubble over there to where you're about to go. And then when you get into that fear bubble, you move the next fear bubble and you just move it around. So all of a sudden you're walking into your fear bubble, popping that, and then it's moving. So by the time you do things, that there is no fear. But it's just doing. It's just understanding that fear is there. And you've got two options. You can use that fear to stop you doing things, or turn that fear into energy. Once you convert the fear into energy, you can use that energy to actually get yourself off your ass and do something.
Yeah.
Or think about the potential results that can come out with that, because I remember you're also talking about one story where you actually closed the biggest deal in a beach club or recently, where you're just talking to the guy, like buy him champagne or something like that, and then he was like, oh, I know that guy, can you just send him a champagne? And then he was like, hey, like I know you, like I love the impact that you create, and then suddenly you just did business. Like, can you tell me more about the story, you know?
Oh, so he's now a new business partner.
Nice.
So when we did the Nomadic Closer House, there was one day where we went wakeboarding with the boys. And there's this big influencer called Jurgen Klaric.
Okay.
He's pretty much like the Grant Cardone of the Spanish market. He's been doing it for as long as him. He's huge. Everyone in Central South America and Spain, they know who the guy is. And I've known him for quite some time. So anyway, so we've gone wakeboarding. We've pulled up, this is in Colombia, we've pulled up in this like floating beach club in the middle of a lake. It was insane. We're sitting there, we're having some lunch. And I've looked over, I'm like, yo, that's Jurgen Klaric. Everyone's like, who's that? I said, don't worry, I know him. And I'm thinking, right, shit, the boys are here. I'm going to have to show them how to network. And I'm like, fuck, I hope this works, you know? Anyway, so long story short, I've managed to approach, break the ice, have a conversation. I have a certain strategy and a script for breaking the ice, talking to someone that you don't know. And all of a sudden, he's like, maybe we should meet up tomorrow and talk some business. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Anyway, he gave me his number, took a photo with him, you know, so I had the selfie, sent it to him. Anyway, met the next day. Long story short, I went back to the boys in the house. I was like, guys, this is how you network, right? You just got to get used to being uncomfortable, approaching people, follow a certain script, know what to say, what to do, follow the structure. Long story short now, we have 46 hotels that we're selling on his behalf, which is insane. He's now a business partner in our Spanish Sales Academy. And there's a few more things in the pipeline that I can't speak about at the moment.
Ooh.
It's huge. It's life-changing. And that's just because I approached the random guy that doesn't know me, and we started chatting.
Yeah.
And that was only a month ago.
Sure as the magical script then. What's your script?
I will be. That'll be offline.
Oh, okay.
But that's crazy because, you know, imagine how much harder it would have been for you to get that deal if you're trying to like cold email the guy or trying to cold call the guy.
Impossible.
Right.
Impossible. He sends me messages every day now. He's like, yo, Joe, I want you to meet this guy. I want you to meet that guy. Hey, you know the business that you told me that you're doing with this guy? I know someone that can... It's just amazing. Once you tap into that energy, once you kind of surrender and just let life take its path and truly believe you know where you're going, things just happen. I think a lot of us, what we do, we hold on to, you know, what if it doesn't work? What if we get rejected? But what if it does work? What if we don't get rejected? Like, let's change the way we think. Let's change the words that come out of our mouth. What we have to be very careful with, especially, like, I'll probably butcher this saying, but Buddha says something like, what we think and what comes out of our tongue becomes reality. So first we have to think something, then we have to say it for it to become reality. So if we're talking about something and it's negative, that could be reality. We attract whatever comes out off of our tongue. So we've got to be very careful with what we say. So even if there's something negative that's happened, what's the positive side of that? Let's focus on positivity, because it's going to attract so much goodness into your life. Even with closing, we need to pre-educate ourselves and program ourselves to have certain rituals that by the time we're going to jump on a call, we have no attachment to that sale. We have no attachment to the outcome. Our only mission there is to truly help that person. The guy or the woman or whoever's on that call is on the call because they have an issue. And it's your duty, it's your responsibility to help that person. Whether they buy the product or not, it's your responsibility to leave that person better off than you found them. If you can do that and have no attachment to the sale, you're going to be a very rich person. So don't worry if you sell or don't sell. If you can help that person become a better human and live a better life, that is my mission.
Yeah. Because that's another thing we talked about in the last episode too, is like some people, some closers, where they get into objection handling, they get frustrated after. Like, oh, why didn't that person buy? Like, is it my fault? They get frustrated themselves or the other person. But when I look at you, something I think you do really well is just you're just very chill. And you seem very genuine. You seem like obviously you care about the other person. So do you have like zero like emotional attachment after the call, or like what's your thought process to make sure that after that it's all good?
I have a very interesting way of looking at that. So one of my mentors, Raj Dulai, I'm not sure if you know him or not.
I've heard of him from Matt. Yeah.
So super successful guy. He opened my eyes to the world of being in service to others. Now, a lot of people I speak with, they say, oh, you know, I'm a charity guy. I donate a lot of money to this charity and that charity. Fantastic, great. But do you ever physically go there? Are you ever there physically giving, being in service? Because when you're physically there, when you're giving and not expecting anything in return, when you're helping someone that you don't know, whether they say thank you or they don't say thank you, we're fortunate enough to be able to be in service. They've allowed us to be able to serve them. Once you tap into that kind of energy and you truly want to help someone, whether they say thanks or not, it also helps on your sales calls, where it's like, I just want to help this person. I have no attachment whatsoever. My attachment there is my mission, my responsibility is to help people. So I can look at it as charity. If I don't sell them, I at least I've left them better off than I found them, and I've given my attention, I've given my energy, and they can go and pursue a better future.
I think what you just said in terms of, like I said, that was, I even personally told you, that was my biggest takeaway when it comes to the charity event that we did in Medellin is when you actually said, before we actually started, like people are lining up and like people are like, when is it all starting? You know, like you can see the vibe, you know, going on, and people are like asking for food and like, but what you actually said was be appreciative of the people that allow us to help them. They are allowing us to help them. Like, who are we to help them, really? But they are actually opening up their hearts to actually give us an opportunity to serve them. And that really shook me in a very positive way, because it was like, right, this is what I objection handle for. This is why I get on the call for, because I want them to allow me to help them, really. And they are allowing me to help them. It's not about making the sale.
But it's got to come from a place of love.
Exactly. They allowed me to do it. I got to be grateful about it, you know, naturally. And that was like mind blowing to me.
I appreciate
personally.
it. And I think as well, when you do go to feeds, when you're building houses, schools, it can be a challenge. It's like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I don't feel good. Oh, I've got a headache. It's not about you. It's about them. Put your problems aside. Put your ego aside. Whatever you're feeling, put it aside. Once you can put how you're feeling aside and truly want to help that person, things just happen.
Yeah. How do you go about that? Because I see a correlation between charity work and sales calls. Because on sales calls, I think closers theoretically get that, but they're in back-to-back calls for like 6, 8, 10 calls a day. That they're like, okay, the techniques, They kind of forget about that. I'll fall into that trap too. Same thing in charity work. If you're helping like person after person, you know, for a lot of people, it's easy to lose in touch with that. So how do you keep reminding yourself of that and keep having that gratitude in the service?
I could never do 8 calls a day.
Yeah.
First and foremost. How can I, like, I couldn't do 30 days back to back charity 12 hours a day because I'll break.
Right.
So I know my limitations. I'm like, okay, well, how many hours a day can I physically be on a call and give my 110%? 5 hours a day, that's the max I'll do. How many calls is that? 4 to 5 a day, maybe even 3 to 5 a day. That's the max that I can do to give my full energy. There are some people that can take 12 hours a day of calls and be okay. I can't. I know my limitations. So it's selfish of me if I can't give my 110%. If someone's jumping on a call and I'm not in the right mood to help that person, I've found that person. It's not fair. The person's come to me for help and I haven't been 110% and I found them because I haven't solved their issue. So it's my responsibility. That's the way I think.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What made you want to start the charity work in the first place?
An ayahuasca ceremony. So plant medicine. So I think through life, I've always wanted to become a better person, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I've always gone through having mentors. I've spent just under, just under 200K on mentorships, whether it's sales, personal development. There's been a lot of money spent. And I think every time you have an experience, we just remember it as a good memory. And then I got introduced to ayahuasca, and I've had some amazing realizations. I think whether you go down the plant medicine road or you have realizations, I think what everyone needs, I'm not going to say everyone needs a psychiatrist. What everyone needs is an integrator, because we have a lot of information. We learn a lot all the time, but we need someone to help us integrate what we've learned. So I hired an NLP coach, hypnotherapist, that on a regular basis helps me realize my lessons, my learnings, my understandings. And I don't think a lot of people do that. So whether you're going through life and you think you've got your shit together, I think everyone should be able to have someone they can speak to realize their full potential. Because the way I used to think to the way I think now is completely different. Because of the experiences, but because I've had someone put a mirror up to me and be like, this is the reality, not the reality in here. And the great thing about an NLP coach, neuro-linguistic programming, is they can rewire your brain to either forget certain traumas or realize things that you couldn't realize by yourself.
Yep.
It's been life-changing.
Yeah.
Life-changing. So going back to one of the stories, so at ayahuasca, I had this vision in one of the ceremonies, and the vision was before kind of going into the ceremony, I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm in a good place. I just want a bit of guidance on my next step. And I had this vision of, first of all, it was like a light coming from one side, going through and going out. And I'm like, what is this? And then I saw that I'm in this fortunate situation to be making good money. And the more money I make isn't making me happy. So it's like, okay, so what is this sign? And then it was completely clear. I saw the vision. It was like, the more money I make, I'm just a vehicle to give more money away. And I'm like, That's why I want to make money. The more I can make, the more I can give. The more I can make, the more I can give. And I'm like, why doesn't everyone want to make as much money as possible? There's so many people out there that need help, that can't be helped. Let's make as much money as possible, be that vehicle to be able to give more money away. So that's how the charity kind of started.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And helped me a lot with closing.
How so?
Just separating the commission breath to truly helping that person, whether you get the deal or not. Because whether you get the financial commitment or not, if you truly believe that you've changed that person's life with that conversation, maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll refer someone else to you. I don't have any attachment.
That makes sense because you're helping the prospect you're talking to. And also, it's not like, hey, I got to make these commissions to go into my pocket. I mean, that's part of it. You got to pay bills, but also so that I can help
That's just a
even more
byproduct.
people. Right. But I can help more people from that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's good.
I want to talk about something more like tactics or strategy. One personal question, selfish question that I had was, I think this would be beneficial for both closers, sales manager, consultants, or business owners, is that you're a very great connector and you're using that skill to connect business owners with now closers, and you're like mass recruiting people. Now, what is your recruiting strategy? And also, what is your hiring process, and how do you also spot the right talent for the right businesses as well?
When we first started doing recruitment, we fucked up massively because we weren't vetting the businesses the right way. And I think although the businesses sounded good, we didn't do a proper audit. So when businesses come to us, they're like, hey, we're looking for some good closers. I looked at the business from the outside, it looked good. I got closers on, it didn't work great. And I think that's the great thing about business is you start a business and you learn as you go.
What exactly happened when you actually placed closers and it just didn't work out? Like, what exactly happened?
No leads. The leads just stopped, or they just wanted the closers that they promised them just to do inbound. They had to do outbound setting on old leads from like 4 months ago. So after we started doing audits, it's like, okay, what is the actual chain of sales? What is the customer journey? Whether it's the messaging on the ads, the landing page, what's on the landing page, how it's there, what kind of questions, what's the qualifiers. Once you see the customer journey, you can then identify where that chain of sale breaks. Because imagine you have chains, right? You got a chain, you got links. If one link in the chain is broke, everything falls. So it's identifying where that chain is broken.
And first, look at the business first
Look at
before
the
you
business first.
look at the closers or the setters, whoever
Exactly.
it is.
So that's why we now do an audit on the business first. So after we do the audit, it's like, okay, you have two options. You can actually go and fix these problems by yourself, or we can come in and help you do it.
So
once that's set up, then we can then go and get the right closers for you.
Gotcha. So is lead flow and the quality of leads like one of the main criteria when you're looking at a business?
It's quite funny because a lot of the times when we first started, we went through this period where we were growing businesses too fast and they couldn't handle with the fulfillment. So it's like we've built this amazing team of closers and we've just poured so many sales into the business. They're like, well, we need to stop for a month or 2 months because we're backlogged now. And then all the closers were like, well, we're making good money. We got to find a new job. So now one of the biggest questions we ask is like, what is your fulfillment like? How much can you handle? What is the maximum capacity you can do? Let's reverse engineer. If you're at max capacity, what does that look like? And then if you do get to that, what is the next stage? Because if they are max capacity, then we can kind of reverse engineer.
Gotcha.
That's a big thing.
Gotcha.
And then when it comes to closers, at the moment we have over 2,600 closers in our CRM system, where they're categorized by low, medium, high, as well as what they've sold. And price tags that they've sold as well. So whenever we get a new business, we have closers in our pipeline. So we first go into the CRM to figure out, do we have the right closers for that business? But we also then figure out, okay, well, who else is on a very similar offer that's doing well or has been on an offer similar to this in the past, and we headhunt. So sometimes, if not the majority of the times, although we have a huge CRM system, the majority of the times we do headhunt. because that's where you get good talent. If a closer hasn't got a job, it means they're not good.
Right.
So I'd say over 80% of the times is just
Oh, yeah.
approaching it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Please, how much would that CRM be? Can I buy it? Can I hack it?
You can have it, bro. I'll give you access.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I won't say no to that.
Yeah.
I want to complain. I'll get it then.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, more than welcome, bro.
Oh, shoot. Thank you.
Yeah, but poaching definitely is a great strategy. I was poached, so it's a good way to get top talent. So I saw one Facebook post where you're saying you saw like a screenshot of someone who, hey, Joel, can you get a job or something like that? It's like, this is number one thing not to do as a salesperson. So what are some bad practices as a salesperson to try to get a job, and what are some good ones where you're like, hey, like I want to bring this
Why are
person?
those messages so bad?
Yeah.
Bro, I lost my shit the other day.
Yeah.
So there was one day I got, no word of lie, I got 22 messages in the space of like 4 hours, very similar messages. Don't know the guy, sent me a message on Instagram and on Facebook, right? Again, 22 people in 4 hours. Hey man, I'm looking for a job. Can you get me a job as a closer? Hey man, I don't know who you are, but apparently you can get me a job. Can you help me? It's like, guys, are you going to go and approach a girl in a bar and say, hey, you don't know me, but can I have sex with you?
That guy does that.
Sometimes.
I mean,
Works 60% of the time every time.
yeah, I mean,
Works
she's paying for it.
Yeah.
But, you know, so if anyone does want to get a job, it's about building a relationship. I'm not going to give someone a job if I don't know them.
Yep.
What I do like is compliments. So if someone approaches me and like, Joel, you did a post the other day and you said this and this. I really liked it. Thanks for sharing. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. So, oh yeah, by the way, you know, I've been a closer for a while. You know, just out of curiosity, like, any chance you can help me out? I'll be like, yeah, man, like, you know, of course. But if you go straight in for the kill, hey, I don't know you, but I want to have sex with you tonight. It's whoa, slow down.
Yep.
You know? So pay people compliments. That's the easiest thing to do. So what I challenge everyone is go out and for the next 30 days, go to a random person and give a random person a compliment for 30 days in a row and see how your confidence grows as well.
100%.
100%.
One thing I learned from you, seeing you in person in Medellin, and this is not what was taught in Medellin, is that you always smile wherever you go. Like we have this Korean bitch face.
Oh
all the
yeah.
time. Like,
KBF.
this is our default, you know. What I actually started implementing was just having a smile on my face. Like you never know, people might approach me just because I have that warmth, you know. And I see the benefit to it. Like I'm like laughing to the staffs also, trying to do jokes now. That's not me, by the way. Small talk or smiling to people and being nice to people. That's not me, but that's what I've seen from this guy actually. It's like it's always like, why are you so happy? Like it's like always smiling. Hey June, hey like brother, like that's what I learned, and that's like for me, I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's why he's such a good connector. Like there's no secret sauce, maybe it's just you're just having that warmth at the end of the day.
I mean, the energy you put out is the energy you receive. So if you keep putting out negative energy, if you keep putting out boring energy, you're just going to get boring energy back. You know, everything is energy at the end of the day. So you gotta. It's the same as when you're on a sales call. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta really understand your body language, your face expressions. So I can smile like that, or I can smile with my eyes as well. You know, and smiling with your eyes, I'll do it to the camera. And but
Yeah.
What's the difference? I'm just kidding.
the biggest difference is if you don't smile with your eyes, you're not genuine. So you got to learn to use your body language. So whenever I meet someone, I want to give them energy. Again, going back to what I said before, you could meet someone and you don't know, they probably had the worst day of their life. If you give some positivity, even if you just smile at them, you maybe trigger something. You maybe get them to smile back, and then they just start thinking, oh, I actually had a moment of happiness and I just smiled. Then they pass that smile on to someone else, and it could be a tumble effect.
Yeah.
Smiling is contagious.
Smiling is so powerful.
Gratitude is contagious.
Because I'm training a few one-on-one students right now, salespeople, and listen to their calls. The very first like feedback that I give you is like this small hinge will open big doors for you. By the way, it's just smile. Why aren't you smiling? Like they're not going to open up to you. Like, you have to make sure that they open up to you and be honest with you. In order for you to do that, you got to give that like warmth to them, you know? Like, even when you're outbound dialing, like for me, this is how I learned the hard way, is that when I was outbound dialing, I just had a bitch face like this. Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? You know? But when I actually put a smile, just, even if it's the most artificial smile ever, like my tone is just day and night. Tonality is just day and night, you know? They feel it.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest advice, just smile, you know?
Just smile.
Yeah, I mean, the first 5 minutes you can smile and you can just challenge and be like serious as much as you want, but the first 3-5 minutes, just smile. Like, why do you have to be a tough cookie all the time, you know?
Yeah, and I challenge you as well. Get uncomfortable by looking at yourself in the mirror and smiling at yourself. It becomes funny eventually. Like, you look at yourself and you're just smiling. You're like, and then you're like, what are you smiling at? I don't know, I'm smiling. And then you just get happy and you just bring that energy in. But I remember when I was 21, 20 to 21, I moved back to the UK for a little bit, and I worked for a real estate company called Foxtons. And in the office was great, right? There was 17 of us. There was about 17 of us. When we got there, we weren't allowed to sit down unless we booked a viewing. So we had to stand up. We had our headphones on, and the rules were you have to smile while you're talking over the phone, because if you don't smile while you're talking over the phone, you don't sound genuine.
Yeah.
So it's funny. So sometimes we look at each other, walking around, we're smiling, and if we didn't smile, or we caught someone not smiling, they had to just put a pencil in their mouth and bite it for half an hour, right? They weren't allowed to take calls, literally biting a pen for half an hour and then jumping back on calls.
That's an actual exercise I've done actually
Really,
myself
yeah?
also. Yeah, put a pencil in my mouth and like just dialing or just like, because like I said, we Koreans, we Asians, why are we like this all the time, really?
Yeah, no, it's a good thing, because something Matt Ryder pointed out to me, because I have KVF. So when I didn't know I had that until I pointed it out. But people started kind of shutting down more because they thought I was disinterested, even though this is my default face. So it's like, dude, like, just force yourself to smile. Because in Korea, there's a saying where, I'll translate it, you can't punch a guy that's smiling at you. Right?
You can't spit on him, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So there's a saying, but once I started like smiling, people started opening up more. So that's very important. They're gonna kick us out, so we're gonna start to wrap it up. So Joel, that was fire. A lot of sauce. Now, if people want to find out more about what you do, find out more about that, where can they find you?
Probably the best way is Instagram. So at Joel Elster. And if you're Spanish, it's at Soy Joel Elster.
Oh, okay,
right?
good. Okay.
And it's not soy as in soybean. It's not a vegan page.
No hablas español, dude.
Soy is I am.
Yeah.
I am Joel Elster.
And one more thing is, I'm not sure if you want to share it, but you got a new announcement coming in, like a really big one. Like, I mean, do you want to share it, or is it kept a secret for now?
There's so many. I will share one. So I'll share one. Besides us having equity in multiple different companies now, whether it's selling video games, e-commerce companies, SaaS, online businesses, that's aside. That's super exciting. We're also selling for so much. Which one shall I say? Besides, yeah, we're also doing something with natural gold as well now, which is going to be the new Bitcoin. Like, reach out to me if you want to know about this, because that's going to blow your mind. It's going to make you a lot of money. I've never recommended something big that I've ever sold. This I'm recommended. But what I will quickly share. For me, for all my business partners, and I'm sure you've experienced through the Nomadic Closer House, that community is everything.
Yep.
We've traveled the world, we've built communities, we know how to run communities. And we're about to launch the most insane community on School, right? Now, it's not just about online communities. Yes, the whole main thing is going to be through School, but you're going to get so many benefits. We're going to have in-person meetups. We're giving away our whole academy in the community. Wow. The academy, we were selling $5,000 a pop. We're giving away. It's in the community. All the recordings, there's 128 hours of videos in there. There's so much content in there. We're doing 2 live calls every single week. Every week we're going to get someone extremely big into the academy, doing a training. I mean, all the biggest people you can think of now, they've already accepted to be in, right? It's huge. And there's a lot more because we're doing a lot more nomadic closer houses. So you're going to be getting membership discounts. There's so much in this community. I mean, I'm biased, but at the same time, there is nothing out there that's going to come close to what we're building.
What I love about you is while you're saying that, I see the genuine excitement in your eyes. Like you cannot just fathom it. Like you're like, you guys are in here for a treat, you know. Like you guys don't know what's coming, really. So I mean,
the guys who unfortunately didn't make it to the first nomadic closer house, like they missed out. You know, they missed out on such an amazing experience. There's so much more to come. So I'm super excited to launch this community and just share. There's so much I want to share, but if anyone's interested in joining a real community that's different, that doesn't just provide value, but also provides genuine life opportunities, life transformation, you know where to come.
And I want to add one more thing, and I think we should really wrap up. Like they're gonna kick us out. Is as a member, like you see my development from where I was before Nomadic Closer House to where I'm at right now. That's the power of community, really.
Bro, you got a fucking podcast now.
I know.
Wow.
I'm here, you know, with you, you know. So I mean, that's the power of community. That's the power of accountability. That's the power of having your own tribe, as I mentioned about.
Tribe.
And I mean, as someone who's, I think I'm gonna be one of your biggest testimonials. You know?
I appreciate it, bro. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of everything you've been through. I'm proud of you for getting vulnerable and opening up and becoming the best version of yourself. You know, sometimes we don't allow ourselves to surrender or to be vulnerable, but in order for us to grow, we needed to be able to do that in the right environment, with the right tribe, with the right people around. So I'm proud of you.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, man. You too.
Good shit. Yeah, I mean, I've seen June's development also just from like the week or two, and huge transformation, making moves. So, all right, we'll wrap it up. Conclusion: get a life, go meet some people, and if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, share it to people that you feel could benefit from it. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
See you later.